There are always exciting new crypto narratives, but sometimes it's tempting just to become a full-on Bitcoin maxi. Like, I get it, man. I get it. It's certainly been profitable over this cycle. Even if you're not a Bitcoin maxi, you know the score. Rack up returns with altcoins to shift those profits across the BTC before they evaporate. Bitcoin is the only coin that I can happily lock up in cold storage and just forget about it. It's fine. Long-term time scale, 10 years, Bitcoin's still going to be here. So today we'll focus on all things Bitcoin, catch up with the big stuff that's happening with ETFs, reserves, corporate treasuries, and really just anything else important, because there's a lot that's been going on for Bitcoin. I'll try to sum up a little bit of that in this video. And there's been so many stories, it's crazy to compact everything in one place. There's literally dozens and dozens and dozens of stories, we got hours here. But first, let's check Bitcoin dominance. Basically, this has been a Bitcoin cycle so far. Crypto has been getting its ass kicked by Bitcoin. Bitcoin was once literally the only crypto, and right now it's almost completely dominant in the market, even though there are more tokens than there ever has been before. Or perhaps it's because there are more tokens than ever before that Bitcoin really stands out as the one thing that matters the most, that can't easily be recreated. Either way, Bitcoin dominance has been more or less up only since the end of 2022. It's currently around 64%. That'll end at some point. It'll correct. Altcoins will have their moment, but ETH BTC does look like it has bottomed out. Currently around 0.025. Maybe that's an indicator that we're going to see some play for altcoins soon. But what the heck happened to altcoin season, man? Well, it hasn't happened yet. And that may be because new capital is flowing into Bitcoin, and then it's not moving out. It's not going down the risk curve. We have institutional money, which is just buying Bitcoin ETFs. They're not buying shit coins. And that itself comes down to a few key things. Now, before we get into ETFs and corporate treasuries and stuff, guys, if you have any meaningful amount of Bitcoin or crypto at all, you need to take your security more seriously. Honestly, the amount of people out here who keep tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars on hot wallets and get it hacked is insane. You have to have a cold wallet. You have to take your security seriously. If you have $1,000 in crypto, you need to get yourself a damn cold wallet, because the chances of losing that through some silly mistake are way too high. Get yourself a Ledger wallet, guys. This is my preferred wallet. Been using it literally for years. Literally for years. Since 2017, I've been using these bad boys. Obviously, this is the newer model. Beautiful, great, nice security device. You know, they're affordable. They're incredibly effective. Industry standard of security. And if you don't have a cold wallet, you're just straight up doing crypto wrong. There's a link down below where you can safely purchase your Ledger wallet today. Go check it out. Okay, now let's talk about Bitcoin ETFs and corporate treasuries. So first of all, we've got those spot Bitcoin ETFs, which have been insanely popular. It's the most popular ETF product basically ever launched in the history of ETFs. They launched in January 2024 and have been just wildly successful, with a current total asset under management across all the funds at $136 billion, with over about $45 billion of inflows. Well, the leading product, of course, is BlackRock's IBIT, with an asset under management figure of almost $70 billion. JP Morgan also announced recently too that it's going to start offering clients to take loans versus their Bitcoin ETF holdings. So I'd expect Fidelity Bitcoin, BlackRock Bitcoin, all this stuff to keep going up, because that's a huge step for acceptance. Imagine if you know you can put your money in Bitcoin and take loans versus that. Huge, huge. The other big story is companies buying up BTC for their treasuries. Now, this has been one of the bigger stories of the year. This started in 2020 with MicroStrategy, but not many companies followed them straight off that. It took a few years. It took them to prove it worked. Now they hold 2.76% of the total Bitcoin supply. And there are debates about whether that much supply in the hands of one single corporate holder aligns with what Satoshi had in mind. Well, Satoshi ain't here, is he? Michael Saylor is. He's buying it all. But that's where we are right now. It doesn't stop there, because it seems like all the floodgates have been thrown open now. And if you can see the big picture of what's coming, it's hard to be bearish on the market in any sort of longer time frame, even medium-term time frame. In May alone, there were 12 new Bitcoin treasury companies announced, adding to the 17 announced that had already raised. That is partly thanks to BlackRock legitimizing Bitcoin, and it helps that the 100K price barrier has been smashed. It's become a more serious asset. And these treasury companies are not buying like a Bitcoin, they're buying $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $500 million. Literally between those, that's an equivalent of a month ETF flows or more. And America's change of administration has given enormous green light to the entire crypto industry. So if you were in any doubt as to how strong that political signal is, Trump Media recently announced that it's raising $2.44 billion to build a Bitcoin treasury of its own. And they're launching a Bitcoin ETF. It's crazy, man. Looking at the overall picture, according to Bitcoin Magazine, there are 50 publicly traded companies that each hold over 100 BTC, and that's going to increase dramatically. Again, we're getting a news story basically every single day right now. Companies are now collectively holding 750,000 BTC, or 3.6% of the total supply, although, as mentioned, a majority of that chunk is, of course, on MicroStrategy's books, but we have all these other companies that are piling in now. It's going to start making a difference. As for how these Bitcoin buyers are performing, the 10th largest holder, Metaplanet, based in Japan, has seen its stock rise just 200% in May. It's up like 1,000% this year or something. It's absolutely bonkers. At one point this week, Japan's #1 traded stock was Metaplanet. That's crazy, man. Over in the States, you have Semler Scientific, the 11th biggest corporate holder. They hit about a 50% gain near the end of last month. So corporate treasury stocks are pretty hot, although Semler's still down from the start of the year. Now, on the whole, though, this corporate shift should be great for Bitcoin holders. These companies adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, they're not just chasing the price. These are holdings that could be really sticky, and significant hordes of coins are being siphoned off and vaulted up into long-term holdings here for these companies, probably even more so than with ETFs, which brings, of course, an intense amount of buying pressure and creates incredibly bullish conditions. However, this all seems to be having that sort of knock-on effect for alts, as the old pattern whereby Bitcoin would pump and profits would rotate into higher risk altcoins has kind of been disrupted. The ETFs have changed the game. ETF buyers don't have a direct route to roll their gains at altcoins. They just buy and hold Bitcoin. That's it. That's the end game for them. They'll take the 10x over 10 years. Corporate buyers definitely aren't going to be throwing their chips at the latest frog or dog coin. So obviously there can still be an altcoin season, there still will be an altcoin season, but the dynamic has changed. We are becoming much more institutionalized as an asset class. Crypto's growing up. That said, though, there are also corporations copying the MicroStrategy approach, but with altcoins instead. We have several different companies announcing XRP Treasury strategies. We have SharpLink, which is buying $500 million worth of Ethereum. Their price is up 2,700%. It's crazy. We have multiple firms announcing that they're stacking Solana as well. So it's going to happen for altcoins, guys. But back to Bitcoin, though. The other potentially huge players eyeing up the tables here are governments, both local and national levels. And this is, again, intense levels of crazy buying pressure. The kind of news that would absolutely make everybody lose their effing minds a few years ago. Now it's like, what, Texas is going to buy Bitcoin? Lame. Now, this kind of adoption began in El Salvador. Started buying Bitcoin back in 2021, still stacking in defiance of the IMF, which keeps saying, no, El Salvador. Screw the IMF, man. You also have recently Pakistan announced the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Brazil's probably going to announce one soon. Although keep in mind that, again, the IMF, which really doesn't like Bitcoin, also told off Pakistan. Fucking IMF, man, these guys. They're already out there fudding Pakistan's Bitcoin mining plan. IMF, can you just shut up, man? Just stop. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you, IMF. But also, we see others. Britain wants to get in on the action. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, he went on stage at Bitcoin Vegas, promoting a pro-crypto policy approach. And yes, he's also promising a Bitcoin strategic reserve for the UK. What chances he gets elected? I don't know. But it's being talked about. Nigel Farage is a Trump ally, and it looks like he wants to follow the same crypto playbook that Trump is using in America. Look, right now, his party is currently running away in the polls, believe it or not. Election's not close, but shit, if he can keep that momentum up, maybe you really do get a pro-crypto UK parliament. That could change the game in a big way. Now, back in the USA, obviously their strategic reserve is coming. They haven't really said much about it since they launched it, but let's see. But we do have state-level stuff happening. The Texas legislature just passed the Bitcoin strategic reserve bill, meaning it now passes over to the governor, who probably going to sign it into law any day now. So we have Arizona and New Hampshire. They have already enacted crypto bills. Texas is going to be the third state in the USA. Texas, by the way, for its own economy, is the 8th biggest economy in the world. So it's a damn big deal. So demand for Bitcoin is now coming in from an entirely new source of actors at an entirely new scale. Literally billion-dollar buyers. Not, this ain't your mom and pop buying $5 for the Bitcoin anymore. These are giant institutions buying billions at a time. Countries stacking. The game has changed, and the liquidity is coming, and the money is coming. I often have people ask me, well, who's the new buyer going to be at $200,000? Countries, states, corporations, people with incredibly deep pockets. Thanks for watching.